Breaking news from the State Department. An audit done by that department now faults Hillary Clinton and previous secretaries of state for poorly managing emails. Now, the report cites, quote, long-standing systemic weaknesses in and related to the department's communications. Joining me live now by phone, NBC's intelligence and national security reporter Ken Delaney, who looked through the report. And Ken, obviously, Hillary Clinton, the headline here, but this mentions other secretaries of state and how they handled emails as well.
Yes, it does, Tamara. In fact, it points out that former Secretary of State Colin Powell did not comply with the Federal Records Act and used personal email and for government business, and some of those emails have yet to be retrieved. But this is really going to have huge reverberations through the political campaign because it takes on some of the central assertions that Hillary Clinton has been making about her use of private email. For example, she has said that by sending her personal email to government accounts, that was a way of preserving the records under the Federal Records Act. Well, the audit specifically says that's not true. That was not an appropriate way to preserve the records. Also, remarkably, the audit quotes the senior information technology people at the State Department saying they were never asked to approve Clinton's personal email arrangement, and if they had been, they would have advised against it.
And part of the argument from the Clinton team has been that what she did, having this server, was not different than other secretaries of state. And we see in this report, as mentioned, John Kerry, Condoleezza Rice, as well as Colin Powell here. We talk about the impact it could have on the campaign trail. Does this report still allow for Hillary Clinton and her team to point to how the agency and other secretaries of state handled email?
Oh, it absolutely does. And this has long been known, but this report expands on the idea, that I interviewed Colin Powell about his email practices, and he was very clear that he used a private email account and he didn't see anything wrong with it. But he used it a lot less frequently than Clinton did. And Clinton was the only former Secretary of State to have had a personal server that she maintained in her house and routed every single piece of government business through that server. So the issue with Clinton is scale. And I also think the issue in this audit is that it challenges some of the central assertions that she's made about this not, she, for example, has said that this complied with the rules at the time. Well, the audit is raising some questions about that.
And just quickly here, going back, though, to the State Department and criticism that may fall on the agency, when you look at this notion that some of these secretaries were slow to recognize, as the report says, and manage effectively legal requirements and cybersecurity risks, we're talking about secretaries of state. Why weren't measures then put in place? I think a lot of people will ask to make sure that these emails were properly handled. We're talking about the U.S. government more than we are individuals, and there seems to be a problem within the State Department, according to this report, a long-standing problem.
That's absolutely true. And the answer to why that didn't happen is because the State Department has been an information technology disaster for years, and that's well documented in a series of audits. Their cybersecurity has been in question. Their technology has been in question. Powell will tell stories about how there weren't even computers on everyone's desks when he got there, well after the internet age had taken hold. So yeah, that's a long-standing issue. I think that's separate and apart, though, from Clinton's decision to use a personal email server and what this report says about the ramifications of that, about who was consulted, and about why she may have done it. There's a line in an email to an aide where she says she wanted to make sure her personal email was not subject to, did not become part of the public record.
All right, Ken Delaney with the latest on this breaking news. We'll continue to follow this. Meanwhile, this morning, police in Anaheim, California,